This is the Howard's Way podcast from Antique Dust.
Story so far. Tom Howard has received a redundancy payout after leaving Southern Aviation and wants to invest everything and all his life savings into a boatyard. His wife, Jan, isn't very happy. Anyway, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Rob.
And together we are Antique Dust.
Woo!
Woo! We are dusting down that glorious yachty drama, Howard's Way. Heavy! So, in this episode is episode 3, and it was first aired on the 15th of September 1985. I actually remember this.
Do you remember?
Yeah. Were you? So, my whole family sort of gathered around the television and watched it as a televisual delight. I think it was
Did it get wheeled in on a trolley?
No. We had that in the best room, the one with the doors on, the TV with the doors, which came from, I can't remember where it. Army and Navy used to have a. I don't remember that department store. My grandmother.
Yes, there wasn't a branch of Army and Navy in the little Scottish town where I grew up. Funnily enough.
Well, it's a massive electronics department. My grandmother looked at this television, and it only went on high days and holidays. It did take a little while to warm up as well.
Well, it had valves in it.
It was only 1985, but
it probably didn't have valves.
It didn't have. I don't know, but it had.
Well, it was all solid state electronics, so it would take a little while just to warm up.
Yeah, and it had a remote control, which the remote control slotted into the actual television, and you used to take it out. But then, if you did it from an angle, it wouldn't work. You had to sort of get it down to where the slot was to line up the laser beam or whatever.
Yeah, the first television that we had with the remote control, there was a little compartment on the side where the remote control sat, and my mum always insisted that it be kept there, which totally defeated the purpose of having a remote control if you had to walk over to the television to get the remote control to change the channel, and then you had to put it back into the slot and put it back down again.
Well, we had a Betamax with a remote control, which was attached by a cable, and the cable only reached into halfway. Well, we had quite a large lounge, and the cable we left the cable in the middle of the lounge, and we wanted to change it. We went to the remote control in the middle of the rug to press the remote control. It was bonkers.
Yeah, some things really weren't thought out well back then, were they?
My grandmother ruined that as well, because she came in with a hostess trolley with some
nibbles on it.
Some salmon out of a tin and cucumber sandwiches.
On a hostess trolley.
Because it was a level thing, so it had 2 levels.
But the whole point of hostess trolley was to keep hot things hot.
No, that was a different one. The hostess trolley, it just literally had 2 levels. It wasn't attached to a cable or anything like that, but it had 2 levels. So you had the sandwiches on the top, and you had the cakes at the bottom, and then when the You said when we'd finish the sandwiches, the sandwich plates were put on the bottom, and the cakes were then produced onto the top. It wasn't rotating.
So did the Queen come round for tea very often?
No,
to your
it's just-
house?
Sorry. Anyway, back to Howard's Way. This episode I really enjoyed. The script was really, really good. In the previous episode, Abby has arrived back from Switzerland from finishing school. She doesn't seem to have graduated.
No, she doesn't come across as being particularly well finished.
No.
I think Polly should be asking for her money back, get a refund from the finishing school.
No.
I haven't seen her balance a book on her head once. So
No, and the makeup techniques and everything. Because my mother went to a finishing school. I think it was only for a term in Brighton, so you were taught how to dress, what to dress for, and how to do. It's like the
how
whole
to get out of a car without showing everyone your knickers.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
A good skill to have. It's stood me in good stead for many years.
So the episode starts with Avril going into the Jolly Sailor, where Jack, her daddy, is regaling some people we never meet ever again in the pub, and
Some boring anecdote.
and that sort of thing. And then Avril comes in and breaks the news that Tom wants to be in the business.
Yay!
And she's sold the flying fish.
Yes, but she's being a bit cagey though about the
I know.
identity of
The owner.
The-
It's
the-
somewhere
who's
on
purchasing.
the East Coast.
the east coast of what though?
I've
Is it Grimsby? Or?
no idea. So she seems to be a little bit reluctant to say that. So we have a little bit of nonsense with regards to having a gin and tonic, and Jack having another conversation about what actually happened in London for her to come back, and
what happened in that there London?
and trying to convince her to move back into the house, because I think she's renting the thatched
The
cottage.
thatched cottage.
I hope she shut the gate and
Well,
the
I hope
livestock
so.
haven't gone and eaten the roses.
That would be terrible.
That'd be terrible. And then we cut to Jan and Tom Howard's house, where Tom has come back super excited, saying, "Oh, right, yes."
So this episode seems to pick up immediately after
Yeah.
the end of the previous
Because
episode.
Jan's still got the same top on.
Yes, so this is just immediately after Tom has signed their lives away.
Well, he signed for the sale of the flying fish. He's not signed the paperwork to buy the mermaid.
Ah.
That comes later on in this episode. But he says, "I've committed to it now." Jan starts to reason with him, and then she goes completely off her head when he says, "I've committed to it now. I'm doing it."
Her
And
head whips around like a whippy thing.
I know, it was like very much ecstasy.
I'm surprised she didn't end up with whiplash.
I know. And there's some bloody awful wallpapering again. This is another corner of the room. It was all blown, wasn't it?
Yeah, we have doubts about the Howards decorating, or
No.
presumably their decorator. I can't imagine either of the Howards getting a ladder out and
Maybe it was a
getting
charitable
motion
thing,
brush.
like the local children from the blind school were doing work experience or something to put wallpaper up. Maybe we'd do it by sight. Maybe they just thought it was Braille.
Yeah, I think
Stick here in the bars.
I think that's enough of that. Thank you.
So we cut upstairs to Lynne getting ready with her glitter makeup.
Yes,
She looked a bit like a drag queen.
Well, yeah, she did rather look like she was a contestant on RuPaul's Drag Race.
I know, it was just like that. She smeared the makeup on the wall and then
run
ran
at
at it.
Yeah. But I do remember girls in the 80s having all that glittery
There's
stuff.
like a glitter cream which you put over there to
Yeah.
look
I don't know,
sparkly and interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if people still do that, but it was certainly, because I remember going to school discos and, naturally enough, not getting too close to any girls, but nonetheless, coming home, I think there must have just been lots of glitter in the air that just stuck to everyone, because I've certainly come home glittery for some reason from the school disco.
It was the young homosexual in you just sparkling.
Yeah. After drinking Tizer and eating Tudor crisps.
Oh, I didn't go to any of the school discos or anything like that.
Were you not invited?
Oh, of course I was, but
Of course you were. What nonsense. Shut up, Robert. Nonsense.
I was actually strangely popular at school.
Well, you got half right. So it's safe to say that Lynne isn't thrilled.
Well, Lynne at first, it's really quite interesting because, say, Leo and Lynne come into the living room where there's a bit of a frosty reception, and Jan says...
And Leo's a picture in beige.
Yeah, beige, and Lynne's looking all glamorous.
Yeah. But there's quite a lot of beige in this episode.
Yeah, there is, yes. We'll get on to Jan's outfit, a little jumpsuit later. And so at first, say, Lynne's going, "Oh, that's jolly good, Daddy." And then Jan stirs it a bit. "Yes, but he's selling everything, including the flying fish." And then she goes completely bonkers.
Yeah.
"No, it's not fair. I can't have a pony."
Well, that's you, Jonathan.
That's partly the reason why I really got into Howard's Way, because
you couldn't have a pony.
Well, I joined...
Central London's not a great location.
Well, no, but at school, say when you went up to... you could take your pony to school when you went to senior school, went to the senior thing. And I was in Pony Club because I was like organised activity boy. And then my grandmother my grandmother sort of ran a hospital, and she saw a report in one of these glossy magazines and about someone falling off a horse and being brain damaged and everything. And we were going out looking at
that Gruesome Injury Monthly? Yeah,
I have no idea. It's just an internal supplement or where it was the staples. The staple covered the lobotomy scar.
So your grandmother then became convinced that if you go anywhere near a horse, you will end up...
No, I was allowed to continue going to Pony Club because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, but you had to clip-clop around on a broom. No one ever got hurt clip-clopping around on a broom.
It's actually quite amusing because I had a little foray with polo at the time, and when you were learning to do polo, you had to go on a bicycle. On the polo field with a mallet.
Yeah. I'm strangely familiar with... I think I must have seen a documentary once.
Really? Yeah.
I
mean, I was shocked. I thought, right, we'd do that. But
so you were on your Raleigh bomber.
No, that had their rickety bikes, which were a little bit higher, taller. Right. So you obviously couldn't touch.
So your mallet wasn't trailing on the ground.
I think the reasoning because they did that was because they didn't want the horses to be injured with the mallets if you're just practicing. It's like
I think that's
nobbling the ponies.
Yeah. I mean, having a load of pubescent boys on horseback with mallets just does not strike me as being a sensible thing to do.
But the thing is, my grandma, we were out looking at ponies, so we were looking around at getting me a pony, and then grandma said, "No, categorically not. You're not doing this.
No pony for you, Jonathan."
No, because it's too dangerous and blah, blah. So because she said sailing, that's what you're going to do, because we had a sailing club at the school.
Yeah, because that's much less dangerous.
I know, well, my grandma had it in her head because I could die for a brick in my pyjamas. I'd be fine. I don't think she really looked at the drowning incidents because I was such a strong swimmer and I swam for county. Right. It was.
So she skipped that edition of Gruesome Injury Monthly.
Yes. So I got a boat instead. But so anyway, I do like the whole sailing.
What did you call it? Dobbin?
No, it was just a topper. That's what they're called. Okay.
All right, okay. So, you saw the puzzled look sort of pass over my face. Topper.
So
I used to get a comic called Topper.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, and I used to get the Buster.
Buster, yeah, I got Buster. Whizzer and Chips.
I wasn't overly keen on Dandy. Desperate Dan got my nerves a bit, and Banana Man. No.
Banana Man.
And I didn't like the Bash Street kids because they were like rough. I just don't know.
My sister used to call me Plug.
Really? Your ears aren't that big?
Well, I don't think... Okay.
Oh, actually, that's strangely...
I'm not quite sure how to take that.
Because Plug had big, sticky-outy ears, didn't he?
Yeah. She was just being cruel.
Which sister was this?
This was Eleanor.
All right, Karma got her. Well, she had to move overseas, didn't she?
Yeah. She was forced to leave the country for
calling you Pug.
Calling me Plug. Anyway,
so Lynne's very obviously was like completely behind Daddy, and now isn't completely behind Daddy because that means she can't sail.
And now she's in tears, and all that makeup is running down her face. And you actually really can't tell the difference.
No, and then Leo's still very supportive because that's what Leo's role is, because he's just like, yeah, well, it's fine, I'm not having to go to university, I'm working in a petrol station. And then he...
But he's got an endless supply of ginster pasties.
Oh, marvellous.
Yeah. There is a bonus to working in a petrol station.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And then we cut to him whizzing off in Jan's MG Metro.
Yes.
I know, I had an MG Metro. That was my first car.
But did your MG Metro have bright red seatbelts?
Yes, it did. I had a black one. I had a black one with a red trim.
Because what we've not mentioned is that Leo and Lynne were escorting Abby
to the party.
To a party where she is going to be
launched
into Tarrant society.
We'll get on to that.
Yes.
Because Leo arrives.
Sweetie.
Leo arrives to go and sort of pick up Abby, and Polly comes out looking very glamorous, like clinging onto a gin and tonic in a crystal glass. I go, please say you'll help her launch onto Tarrant society.
Now, I want to say that
the Tarrant set.
The Tarrant set. Yeah, I would say that Polly in this episode seems to be permanently dressed like a character in Abigail's party.
I know. I love that floaty thing that she was doing. She was wearing. That was great. It was very patterny and everything. I love that.
It's either Abigail's party or Margot from The Good Life.
Both are fabulous, marvelous. Anyway, then Abby comes out the door sideways because she can't actually fit through the door front door, because she's got this awful frock that the drag queen was wearing on the fashion show in the last episode.
I say it is a particularly terrible frock, and at one point it looks as if it's sort of moving independently of her.
So listeners, if you haven't seen this episode, she arrives with this massive blouse. With these huge sort of shoulders.
Yeah, like massive puffy
shoulders. I'm surprised she fitted in the front of the MG Metro with Leo.
I'm surprised that Leo wasn't sort of all hunched up to one side.
He's wedged up against the side window because there's no room. So Leo's trying to make polite conversation to Abby. Abby's having none of it. She knows that he's been asked to take her and and she thinks that he doesn't want to.
Basically, certainly in this episode, Abby is sort of like human representation of Grumpy Cat.
Yes, very much so. She was like, no.
I hate that.
I hate that. I hate everything. I hate
everything. I hate parties.
Yeah, I hate parties.
I hate Tarrant.
I don't want
I
to
hate my mother.
Yes, I hate.
I hate this table.
In fact, strangely enough, she was probably strangely perceptive in this one. I don't think Leo did actually want to, but I think he felt a little bit sorry for her. Yeah. So she asked to be pulled up, and then just, I'll just pull up here and I'll get out, because I know you don't want to take me.
I'll walk home in the rain.
It wasn't raining.
Well, metaphorically, it was raining in her heart.
Yes. So then Leo feels a little bit sorry. I think there's a little bit of sort of cute meat there. I think he feels...
Cute meat? You mean meat cute?
Meat cute,
it's not cute meat. That
cute meat.
That sounds like the butcher's
It's a lovely
shop.
So then he then takes us to the Jolly Sailor, where they sit out in the beer garden. And it's not the beer garden. It's on the front terrace.
It's the outside.
It's the outside of this Jolly Sailor, where
it's all very jolly.
They're having a conversation, and Abby's sort of coming out of her shell a little bit.
In
fairness, I think Abby could be really good.
Leo's winkling her out of her shell.
Yeah.
Miss Babs, it took some winkling.
Yes, and then Lynne comes out to the pub because obviously she's
Lynne?
not Lynne. Avril comes out to the pub after leaving Daddy and says, "Oh, hello." He says, "Hello, Leo." And then Leo says, "All right, yes, there's Daddy." So they have a conversation about the Mermaid Yard and say, it's going to be a marvellous success. Marvellous. And there's a little bit of a boom in Leo.
A little bit of
frisson between Leo and Avril. You can see that he's like quite smitten. I think that will come more clear further on in series 1. So anyway, he sort of has a conversation with Abby, and it all sort of drizzles along nicely. And then we get on to Jan being very hungover, arriving at Ken Masters.
with her big specs.
She's got. Oh, she looks amazing, actually. I mean, admittedly, she has a vision in beige. She's got this big jumpsuity type thing with a high-waisted, thin red belt. If she doesn't wear the red belt
and red shoes
in high heel
belt,
shoes, so she did actually look very, very fetching.
And she teamed with her with the seat belt on her MG Metro.
MG Metro, yeah. So she was like really, really sort of yeah, okay. So you're working this, but then again, if she didn't have the red outfits and she was next to a sort of a wall, a magnolia wall, she'd probably blend in.
Probably. But if we can just sort of rewind a little bit back to the day before, because what we've not mentioned is that when Abby comes home, Polly's on the phone.
Oh yes, invited some other person to her place in Chelsea.
Her pied-à-terre. And I might be there, and there are 2 rooms if we need them. Dirty stop out.
Oh yes, because she's reclining with more gin.
Yeah, and Gerald won't mind.
Gerald won't mind. It's how very modern. Yeah, I just think Polly just steals everything, every scene she's in. It's just lovely.
Call the police. Polly's on the screen.
Yes. Oh, Thursday. Oh yes, I will be there then. And then she does actually mention to Abby that Daddy say it was sad that he couldn't see you. So we haven't met Gerald yet.
We haven't met Gerald yet.
No,
he will be introduced with a massive fanfare at this rate.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but so I think we're the question marks coming up here. So that's sort of like Polly's obviously sort of a manhunter. And she's you're sort of like, oh, what's causing her to be a manhunter? Is Daddy sort of some sort of stud that's pushing it around everywhere? And we'll find out because we meet Gerald in the next episode. Mm-hmm. So then it cuts to the following day where we see hungover Jan.
Yeah, so Jan's arrived at the chandlery,
and politely declines the full-time job that Ken has offered her, which is strange, really, because you'd have thought, oh no, our lives are going to change completely. I mean, if Jan went out to work, maybe they wouldn't have to get rid of the flying fish.
Well, yes, exactly. That didn't really seem well thought out. So no, I can't take this full-time job with more money because my husband's been made redundant. And
now he's wasted all his money buying the Mermaid Yard.
He's thrown every penny that we have into some kind of
rundown
boatyard.
It's like, all right, I'm not going to work. In fact, it felt like, I'm not going to work at all because therefore that'll prove to Tom that we can't survive. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
Ken says, I can wait if you'd like to reconsider, and then offers her out to lunch. And she politely declines. No, I've got to go to Cirencester. Chichester.
Of course, I had to then look at Google Maps to see where
Chichester was.
Actually, it's in relation to
Tarrant.
Well, anywhere.
Chichester's really nice. It is really lovely.
I'd have probably put it somewhere in the Midlands and thought, well, that's rather far to go to visit your mother, but it's not.
It's not a huge distance
from Tarrant.
From Tarrant, no, and. But we meet Mother. We meet Jan's mummy in a little scene that we have where Leo is at the garage, and he's badly cleaning a Talbot Samba, while the manager sort of says, "Oh right, Boise is
queering his relationship with Ken Masters."
Yeah. So that doesn't really go anywhere. That bit, and then this Morris Traveller car arrives very strangely speedily, coming up to the petrol pump. So that was like she was like virtually doing an emergency stop outside the bloody thing.
Well, I think that tells you quite a lot about the grandmother.
So, it's played marvellously by
Dulcie
Gray.
When I was a kid, I had one of the books that she wrote.
She wrote Cozy Mysteries, didn't she?
It was certainly the what I'm familiar with was children's mystery stories, and the particular one featured Roger Moore.
Really?
Yeah, there was some kind of tie-in with the Bond movies, I think. Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Death and Denims, it was called.
Yeah, so Dulcie Gray plays Kate,
Kate Harvey. That's really confusing.
It's really confusing because the actress that plays Jan Howard is Jan Harvey,
and her maiden name in the series is Jan Harvey.
Yes. So it is a little bit bonkers. So she says, "Oh gosh, right, hello." She's not as snobby as Jan was.
I guess she's sort of like a stuff and nonsense sort of robust countrywoman. I think is how I might. Very horsey.
She likes having a little flutter on the horses, and then the next scene we see with her is Jan's pulled up in her MG Metro, in her Vision of beige with red accessories,
red belt and red shoes,
and bobs up to Kate's cottage, which is a lovely detached cottage, and she's got a huge garden, and she looks like she's maintaining it herself. And I'm thinking, Christ, no, she can't be doing that. I don't think
she's snipping away at the edges of
one of the beds,
but she's definitely not doing all that.
Well, she said, "Oh yes, it keeps me occupied." And so the next door neighbour is nosing in, listening into the conversation where Jan says, "Oh right, yes, so there's been a little bit of hubris at home." And she says, "I heard," and then she realises that Leo's filled Grandma in, and the next door neighbour is badly sort of pruning the privet hedge and craning over, listening in. Really, that just felt really weird. It felt a little bit like what was it? What was that?
It's almost like there's a subplot involving Kate's next door neighbour that we never actually get to know about.
It felt a bit. So remember that TV series Fresh Fields? That went to Frenchfield. Julie Mackenzie, another chap that was in like May to December.
Anton Rogers.
And they had the next door neighbour called it's Sonia.
Sonia.
The
little fat one from next door.
It was always good fun. It reminded me a little bit of that. It's just like, oh gosh. And then obviously Kate can see that Jan is feeling a little bit discombobulated. So let's go to the
go to Goodwood.
Go to Goodwood.
So again, I had to get out Google Maps and see where Goodwood.
And she looks at her shoes and said, "We'll get you. You can borrow some of my shoes." She looks at these high-heeled red things, which are lovely. They're very, very lovely, actually. And then we have next scene. We have them on a very windy hill overlooking Goodwood Races. And basically, Kate has a good old conversation with her and said, "Look, Tom has been doing a wage slave-like job for the last 20-odd years. It's about time he got to do something that he wants to do." Jan also says, "I've been offered this full-time job." And she said, "Do it. What's stopping you?" "Oh, it's the family." I mean, I thought that was a feeble excuse. I mean, for Christ's sake, Lynne has just left university. Leo is 18, 19.
He's working in a petrol station.
He's working at a petrol station. I mean, what the hell have you got to do with the house? I'm sure they've got a cleaner.
We never see, but
hopefully it's better. The cleaner's better than the wallpaperer.
Yeah. But then Kate says, "Don't worry, I'll come in and
I'll come in and do
at home."
Yeah, and then we learn that sort of Kate lost her husband the year before, and just wants something to do. And she's having little flutters on the races and things like that. And I think her character was really good. Well, I noticed when Jan's acting with Kate, the character, she seems to. So Jan Harvey, who plays Jan, sort of ups the game completely, because previously it was all like, no, shock horror, and it's all like that. It's either like complete sort of stressy against Tom, but in that sort of faux sort of way, or a little bit flirty-gurty with Ken. Yeah. But you know that the person that plays Ken, Stephen Yardley, and Jan Harvey, they'd previously worked before, but she couldn't remember him.
He couldn't remember.
And I think she couldn't remember him. And then he reminded her.
You'll have to listen to the commentary in that episode.
Right. It was one way or the other, anyway.
Yeah.
But
so essentially,
they got together on Howard's Way.
But essentially, I think what's happening is that in the first two episodes, Jan's character was, driven to the extremes, if you like. You know, there's a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety and a lot of tension. Whereas in these scenes with Jan and Kate, I just think it adds, it brings in a softer
Yeah.
dimension. It's a different style of relationship, and that's what I think you're seeing. You're seeing a development.
But it felt real.
Yes, it did.
That felt real. Where some of the other stuff felt a little bit melodrama, but when she was working with Dulcie, Dulcie Gray's script wasn't, in fairness, wasn't incredibly sort of insightful. It was very.
It didn't have a lot. It didn't really have a lot to do.
No,
I think this was mainly, I think, about introducing her
yeah.
as a character, and also giving Jan a reason to take the job.
And with
Ken,
rather than getting involved with the whole nonsense and sort of like melodrama of the situation. But it does seem with adding her into the cast seems really, really good. And then she says, "Take the job," and Jan thinks, "Oh, right." It adds that extra dimension to it, which I really, really liked. Then we have another scene, which we see Abby looking a little bit forlorn, looking out over the harbour, and Lynne comes along, looking sort of, and just to come. I think she's looking for a job. So she's
looking for a crewing job.
She's looking for a crewing job. So she decides to go and get a job working as a barmaid at the yacht club, so she can get a crew job, so she can sail. That's her main thing. And
of course, one thing that did occur to me is that she's bereft that she won't be able to sail, but her father's buying into a flipping boatyard. Surely she'll have
plenty of boats
coming out of every orifice
there that she can borrow. But I suppose it's not the same, is it? It's the same with me, the pony club. I lost when I thought I was going to get a pony, it was great, but after I knew that was never going to happen. So you get bored and you get frustrated with plaiting someone else's pony's tail and grooming and things like that. It just it gets tarnished, and I can understand that. But overall, she has this dialogue with this chap from the yacht club who looks like it's from Fun Boy 3, and they're looking like they should be breaking into song with their range of pastels, bright pastels.
Yeah, again, a lot of beige and a lot of pastel colours.
Yeah, I think he was wearing a blue and she was wearing a pink, and it felt very, very much of the time. But it was all very lovely.
A little bit Bucks Fizz.
Yeah, it's making your mind up. And then she meets Abby on the harbour, and Abby
tells her a story
about a girl
at boarding school
who got pregnant.
And she was all alone and didn't know what to
do. And then Lynne says, "Well, what did you do?" And she said, "Nothing." And then Lynne gets distracted by someone's mainsail. Literally, it's someone's mainsail. Someone put the mainsail up.
Well, look at the mainsail on that.
And then it's like, hang on. And then it becomes clear that Abby can't swim. So, how come you can't swim? Because everyone in Tarrant can swim. Well, I think because it becomes apparent that obviously Abby got introduced to Tarrant, and then a few months later she then...
Yeah. So it was just after Polly, Gerald and Abby moved to Tarrant from wherever it was they lived before, and then almost immediately, it sounds like, Abby was shipped off to finishing school. Yeah,
so a bit sad. So she's feeling very maudlin when you think, is she pregnant? And... so the episode just felt really lovely.
Yeah. We're not done yet.
I know. We get the final.
Well, we've got Tom has his first proprietorial video.
We meet Davy. Yes.
We meet Davy. Devinder.
Devinder. And Davy sort of kind of fills them in. Well, we're only doing repair jobs. We're not actually building anything anymore.
Yeah. So Davy fills them in on a bit of the backstory.
This is before he realises that
Tom is the new partner,
and Jack arrives late.
Yeah, apparently he's been making important phone calls from his bed.
No, I know he met something about a maintenance.
No, he was
contract.
making important phone calls and meeting someone, all while lying hungover in his bed.
And Davy has sort of filling Tom in on the sort of the boatyard. Jack's announce that he's brought in to the boatyard to the crew, and Bill recognises that Davy is giving a little bit of information on which could possibly cause problems. So ships Davy off to the main shed.
And Bill and the rest of the team are obviously a little bit concerned about someone new coming into the boatyard, and Jack reassures them and says, we've had partners before and they've always done what they're told. And I just wondered, what happened to these other partners?
They're sort of the bottom of the Tarrant estuary with a very big bag of bricks, probably.
These mysterious partners.
Oh, he's taken them out for a drink and their livers are packed up. So
Jan's accepted Ken's offer on her mother's advice. Yeah, so that's set up nicely for that bit of plot. And then Tom goes off looking for the new owner.
Well, Tom's signing the paperwork in the office, and someone on the East Coast, Mr. Devereaux, is it James Devereaux or something? And then he looks at the envelope, which has got sort of Chichester on it, and sort of
Chichester again.
Chichester, yeah. Chichester makes
a very Chichester based,
yeah. And then sort of he goes to sort of like to find this address. He makes a little note down and puts it in his pocket, and then he drives to the Devereaux's residence. And it's quite interesting because he was going to the Devereaux residence, and then Leo decides to have a little walk along the sea, and spies Abby, who we see Abby sort of crawling underneath one of the sea breaks.
The groin.
It's just looked like someone homeless, like sort of like fetal like, and obviously so it's like cut between Tom pulling up in this nice established suburban place, and knocking on the door and asking to speak to James Devereaux. I think he's bought my boat, really. And this wife that looks like she's about to have a dinner party, who's not in at the moment, and said, I think your husband's bought my boat. The boat doesn't sail. And he's like, ooh, he's a bit like cliffhangery there. And then we cut to Leo walking along this very pebbly beach, and Abby has now stopped being fetal-like fashion, and she's on the top of sort of a harbour wall of some sorts, looking out. And then Leo goes, Abby! When she just like flings herself off.
Flings herself
It was
off.
Really, it wasn't just like slipped. It was like she was purposely flinging off. And then we hear a splosh, and then we see some underwater scene.
Yes.
And then it cuts to the big-breasted sort of mascot mermaid.
The big boobied mermaid.
But it was a fabulous episode. Really, really good. Very super tight.
So it turns out that Abby was launched into Tarrant Society after all. It
Yes.
made a very big splash.
Splash! No, I absolutely adored it. It really, really was fabulous. So, obviously, we are uber fans. If anyone else who's listening to this knows anything other juicy gossip about this episode or Chichester, we would love to hear from you. So this brings us on to this episode's recasting. So we are looking at, if we did a reboot of Howard's Way, we're looking what popular actors or actors would be suitable for playing these characters if that got remade. And today we are doing Ken Masters, who's played marvellously by Stephen Yardley, which I say Howard's Way brought out a whole range of knitting patterns to cross sell, and I've got a knitter. He's
not joking, people.
No.
He is not joking.
I have a Ken Masters masterpiece cardigan, which is being currently somewhere in Buckinghamshire. Aylesbury. That's in Buckinghamshire, isn't it?
I have no idea.
So anyway, I've acquired the the Ken Masters cardigan, zip-up cardigan. Was a bugger to find. It really was.
Well, it took months.
It took months,
not years.
It took months to track this knitting pattern down, and I've acquired the knitting pattern. And then, obviously, I can't knit. So then I had to go and find a suitable knitter and I found so it was amazing how many Facebook groups I joined to find a suitable knitter. So I'm now having a Ken Masters original being made. So that's very, very exciting. She has actually started. I have posted a picture of my said cardigan in action. So that's coming. But Stephen Yardley played Ken Masters very, very well. And who would you pick to recast?
Who would you pick? Give me a few moments to think.
I've thought long and hard, and I think Adam Rickett.
Adam Rickett,
who used to play what was his name? Nicky Platt in Coronation Street.
Mm-hmm.
He's the right age. I think he does bits on Hollyoaks and things. We have actually met him.
Yes, I know we have.
So, actually, because Adam Rickett actually lives in Cuddington. Which is what I drive through when I go through when I drive to work. I drive through Tarpley, go past the Polo Club, and then we go past Cuddington. So
you go past the Polo Club and you see all these people on bicycles waving mallets around.
No, so you don't see that from the road. Right. You've got
That's a shame.
You've got the organic farm shop, which has got a coffee shop and wine store, which is fabulous. It's very Cheshire. But I think Adam Rickett would be a really, really good Ken Masters, because it's against type. Because he normally plays the sort of the nice sort of nice and pleasant kind of guy, and I think it would be a good counteraction to have a little bit of an edge to him. I think he's been in Hollyoaks as well, a gay character in Hollyoaks, I think, because that's when we last met him. He was doing a few more episodes of that. But I think Adam Rickett would make a fantastic Ken Masters. Who do you think?
Interesting. I would say someone like Kit Harington played Jon Snow in Game of Thrones.
Oh, he's very brooding, isn't he?
I think a northern Ken Masters would be.
Well, Adam Rickett's northern. They're from Cheshire.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. It's not all about you and your choices, Jonathan.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, I think. Ooh. But
So
I think Jon Snow would probably be a little bit.
Jon Snow.
What is it?
Kit Harington.
Kit Harington, who played Jon Snow.
Yes.
I think maybe a bit too brooding, but I don't know.
You can't be too brooding. Well, that's not true, actually.
No.
But anyways, he's not too brooding. He doesn't have to be. He's an actor. He can
be less brooding.
He can be less brooding.
Yeah, it can be more tepid, a tepid brooding. So that's our suggestions. I'm thinking Adam Rickett, because I think sort of his reclining in his bachelor pad would look fabulous, and I think would probably be a little bit edgy enough. And he's got that sort of flirty-gurty look about him, without being too overly sort of the physicality of him. So, but yeah. So over to you, dear listeners. Who would you think would be fabulous to be recast as Ken Masters? Please answer, not on a postcard, on our tweet or
Send
Instagram.
Send your answers on the back of a blank signed check.
So let us know. We are on all social media platforms at Antique Dust. Please subscribe, give 5 stars if you listen to this on Apple
if
Podcast.
you'd like to take part in a future podcast, give us a shout. We're always up for a collab.
I need to speak to the girls from the Lovejoy pod, because I think when I last spoke to them, because there's the Lovejoy pod doing the same thing with Lovejoy as what we're doing with Howard's Way.
They're probably making a much better job of it than we are, to be fair.
Oh, I don't know. Sorry, girls, but I think they were mildly interested in doing an episode. So I think that would be quite kind of good fun.
Yeah. And if there's anything that you'd like to hear in the podcast, anything that you think we should cover that we're not currently covering, anything like that, just let us know. We're very open to suggestions.
Fabulous. Anyway, so long from me, Jonathan.
And it's goodbye from me, Rob.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Howard's Way podcast from Antique Dust.